Hello there, MegaMogwai here, and I got a different type of video for you guys today. Today's video is sponsored by Gung-Ho, and it is a video about the mobile card game Teppen. Now, Teppen is not something that I'm new to by any means. If you have been watching my Twitch streams, you will have seen me cover this game, as I have been streaming Teppen ever since past June, basically June 2019. Let's go with that. I have been sponsored by Gung-Ho since then to cover this game on my Twitch, but I've never actually showcased it on my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to do a video as they have, sponsored me to do it. But before I jump into the actual video, I want to preface this by saying that I don't tend to upload non-magic content, or basically I don't tend to upload content that is not about a card game that I'm particularly really interested in, right? Which is why for the past year and more so, my channel has been exclusively Magic the Gathering. But this, even though it is a sponsored video, yes, is about a game that I legitimately do enjoy and care about, and I was very much willing, because they offered me this, and I was very much willing to showcase this game on the YouTube because it's a game that I play on my own a lot, and I've actually competed in. I was the first Teppan Invitational champion. I got the check in the back here. So I have experience not only laddering but also competing in this game as well. And I legitimately really do like Teppan, and I want to share it with you guys just to let you know how the game works. Like today's video, we'll be going over the deck that I use to ladder, and we'll be going over gameplay with that deck. I'll be doing a post commentary over a series because this game is very intense. It's very high paced, and I want to make sure that you guys know what's happening, like not just me play some random games and you guys have no idea what's going on, right? Like I want to explain what's going on so you guys understand, at least, as much as your first impression can enable you to do so. And I'm going to try to make it as noob friendly as possible. So we're gonna go ahead and jump onto the actual deck that I have been using to ladder. Basically, in case you're wondering what Teppan actually is, besides it being a card game, it's a very unique card game, which is something that I really like about it. It's a very fresh experience, very different from any other card game you have played, because unlike other card games which revolve around sequencing and resource management as the major traits of gameplay, in Teppan, you have time incorporated onto it. So time makes it so that both players are playing at the same time. And basically, your mana, in this game it's called the MP, is generated via time. And you have to wait to build up said MP to be able to cast your cards. Cards in this game can be of two different types. Either creatures, like Ryu here for example, and actions. Or units, sorry, not creatures, units. Units or actions. Actions are like the equivalent of instants or sorceries in Magic the Gathering, for example, right? So these two different types of cards are what comprise the decks, which are, as you can see, have a total of 30 cards. 30 cards, a specific hero. The heroes revolve around the Capcom franchise. You have heroes from games such as Street Fighter, Mega Man, Devil May Cry, Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, etc., right? So we're going to be playing Ryu. This is my favorite deck to climb with, and this is more of like a control deck, right? We have a bunch of damaging effects upon entry with our creatures, or with stuff like Chill Penguin. Look at this animation, by the way. Anime Chill Penguin, my favorite card in the game. I love it. As you can see, we have a lot of damaging effects. We have a lot of ways to control the opponent's board by dealing damage to their units. So this is more of a control reactive deck that aims to win in the late game with stuff like Fate Define Ryu, and overall just pure value, board control, and then pressure, as we are using the Shinku Hadouken hero art, which deals 7 damage to an enemy unit. Every hero has access to, as you guys can see here, if I start a new deck and I'm going to choose one of the heroes, every hero has access to 3 different hero arts. There are specific abilities given to them, kind of like hero powers from Hearthstone in a way, right? You choose one, and that's the one you go for that specific deck. You can run several of them in the same deck. We're playing Hadouken here from Ryu, but as you can see from all the available heroes, they all have 3 each. And yeah, so this is the deck that I'm going to be playing. I will have a deck link in the description down below, I think, even though you can just copy it from here, just in case if you have Teppan on your phone, which is free to download, by the way. And there is a link in the description down below that will link you to my referral code, which will basically help me out. Like, you can get the game for free through there, and you would be helping me out in that sense. So I would appreciate it if you want to, if you don't have the game already. So like I said, control mono red deck that is built around, you know, shutting down the opponent's strategy, establishing board dominance, and then winning in the late game with a little bit of rush and pressure in general. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna showcase a replay. I'm gonna post-commentate a match between my own Ryu deck and an opponent playing Dante with a mono purple strategy. And I'm going to be explaining the game mechanics and all the specific decision making and everything that happens in that game, so you guys can have an idea of what this is about. And if you like what you see, you can check it out yourselves. You can just download it on Google Play for free and, you know, give it a spin. You may really find the new addiction with this game, as like I said, it's a very it's got its own thing going on, and I really appreciate that about it. So let's hop on to some gameplay. All right, let's get to the game. You go here to the screen, you click on replays. As you guys can see, we've been doing pretty well in ranked with this deck right here. You know, like the last 20 games, we're currently 18-2. So this deck works basically. If you want a deck that's good and that will get you up the ranks, this deck is proven in battle. And we're going to showcase a match that I had against Dante. I think this is a good example to showcase the mechanics and to show some really key timing and plays and everything. I got to preface all this by saying, you know, there's a lot of different mechanics. Like, there was this new keyword called Ascended introduced with the new expansion. And it's going to be very hard for me to cover all of this, especially if you've been seeing this for the very first time. It may come off really confusing, but just, you know, bear with it, and hopefully I do a good job at explaining what's going on. So without further ado, let's hop onto this matchup, and let's talk about, you know, what happened and why it happened and all that stuff. So
you got your
I'm Ryu, my opponent is Dante, and I'm going to pause here at the beginning of the screen. There we go. All right, we're gonna pause right here. So, as you guys see, I'm gonna explain with detail what's happening here. Well, here is my hero on the left. My opponent is on the right. Both of us have 30 HP. These numbers below indicate the amount of cards left in our decks and the amount of cards in our graveyards. All right, so 25 and 0, 25 and 0. These numbers right here, 8, which are labeled AP, are hero arts. So my ability is Shinkyu Hadouken, which deals 7 damage to an enemy unit, right? My opponent's ability is, there we go, Ebony and Ivory, which enables all friendly units to trigger Resonate twice. Resonate will trigger twice instead of once whenever an action card is used. It's like a specific mechanic that revolves around the purple color, which is where Dante resides in. And it's an ability that basically makes his creatures go extra turbo. I'm gonna go ahead and label it like that, just so you understand the gist of it, right? So in order for us to be able to apply these abilities, we need to reach these numbers. We can go above these numbers in this meter, by the way, and that doesn't mean we have to cast or apply the ability immediately. We can hold on to it and use it whenever we want. How do we reach these numbers? Well, we simply play cards. When I play a 3-mana card, this goes up 3 points. When I play a 2/1, this goes up 2 points, and it keeps building up. You'll see as I play more and more cards, this number goes up, and the same for my opponent, until we're able to apply our abilities. Like I said, we don't have to do so immediately. We can hold on to them. So we start off with 5 cards in our opening hand, and we always have 5 cards in our hand. In this game, because it revolves around time and tempo, there's no such thing as card advantage per se. It's more about MP advantage, really. That's like this game's version of card advantage. And you'll see what I mean as the match progresses. So we start off with 5 cards, and we always have 5 cards in our hand. Whenever we play a card from our hand, it will be immediately replaced by the next card at the top of our deck. And we have 2 slots here that are generally empty, called the X pocket, which will stay empty unless we play cards that send stuff to the slot. Like, for example, Trust Amidst Suspicion is a 2-mana action that deals 4 damage to an enemy unit, and then our opponent draws 1 card and puts it in the X pocket. So we're giving our opponent an extra card. So it's a downside for the benefit of having a cheap way to deal a significant amount of damage, right? So unless, you know, we play cards that, you know, say otherwise, these 2 slots remain empty is the whole point. And that's pretty much it. Each matchup has a timer limited to 5 minutes. Once this timer goes down to 0, if, you know, neither player is dead, then the player with the higher health stat will win. So let's get on to it. So here, what I'm gonna do, fight, is I'm gonna build up my MP right now. Why am I gonna be building up my MP? Because I could just go ahead and play one of these guys immediately, right? Like, I want to lead off with Chill Penguin because Chill Penguin has the growth mechanic, which means that whenever I play a creature of 3 value or more, then he levels up. And when he levels up, he gains a shield, then he gains a shield, and then he deals 6 damage to a random enemy unit. So this guy is kind of like an engine, right? I play him first, and then every time I play a creature, I'm leveling him up, and I'm getting shields until he goes turbo and just kills something, right? So that's why Chill Penguin is so good as a 4-drop. But he's good to lead off with, right? But I'm not playing him immediately because in Teppan, if you make your plays and then like make one play and then wait and then make the other play, you're more likely to be countered. Your opponent has more of a window to respond to what you're doing and remove your creatures or deal damage or whatever, right? So it's better to actually build up your MP, as you see, like I'm doing here, and play Chill Penguin and immediately drop the Mega Tortoise right after it to level it up, right? So I'm gonna build up my MP. We're both building up our MP, and then I'm gonna go for it. Boom and boom. This was like faster than the replay indicates, by the way. I did this like pretty quickly, right? So now I spent 7 MP to cast the Chill Penguin and level him up to 2, which means he gained a shield, because afterwards I played the Mega Tortoise, which says whenever a friendly unit other than itself dies, you deal 3 damage split amongst enemy units randomly. So as you can see, we have 3 different lanes here in which we can play our creatures. And once we play our units, they generate these arrows that upon, you know, once they connect here, will deal damage to the opponent. Unless there's another creature here. If there's another unit here, when this is about to collide, both units trade. Alright? So I'm going to drop these 2. And my opponent is going to make a big play here. He was building up his mana. You can see here he has... that's, by the way, and you guys see he played an action, right? This is... I want to stop it like at the right time. There we go. This is very important. I'm also going to jump into this real quick. But what he did is he played B, the mysterious one. An 8 MP creature. This is a very expensive creature that cannot attack, and it's a 0/5. You're like, what the hell? Well, how can this be so expensive? Well, because he has a pretty crazy ability. Resonate is a keyword that means whenever he plays an action, he triggers the resonate. So this creature is triggered whenever an action card is played by my opponent. And whenever that happens, this guy creates one of these creatures randomly, right? So in this case, he created the Familiar Griffin, which is a 2/5 with flight. Resonate deals 2 damage to a random enemy unit and death, and removes itself from play instead of going for the graveyard, right? So this is a massive engine my opponent has played here. Every time he applies an action, which he just did, by the way, he played Foresight, which is a 1 MP action that allows him to draw a card to the X pocket. He will trigger this and he will create a creature on one of the slots, right? You cannot have more than 3 units on the board at the same time. You're limited to 3 slots, but as long as that happens, he's going to be able to have the board flooded and pressure me with these really powerful units. So whenever you play an action card, you enter the action sequence, which means the game pauses. Unlike with units, when I'm playing units, I'm just playing them and both of us are playing at the same time, and the play is not paused at any moment. But when you play an action card, things change. You enter the action sequence, which is kind of like it's like playing a game of tennis, right? Like he passes the ball over to me, right? He played an action, so now it's my turn. And in the action sequence, and only for the action sequence, both of us are granted 2 extra MP. 2 blue MP, because normally I had 5, but now I have 7 because I have 2 extra MP that I can potentially use for this action sequence. If I don't choose to use it, this will disappear. All right, so he goes for the Foresight, and I have the ability to play one of these actions. See, my creatures are not highlighted because I can't play them in the action sequence. So I can play either Trust Amid Suspicion or spread shot. Both of these deal damage here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to deal 4 damage to this guy to weaken him, because I want to kill this engine, because I can't focus on killing the other creatures because he'll just keep making more and more, right? So I have to kill the one that's generating them. So I'm gonna be chaining this 2-drop right here, and as soon as I'm gonna play, it's gonna be replaced with another card. See, I'm gonna target this, but when I play an action, the ball goes back to my opponent, and then my opponent can play an action. This keeps happening until one of us chooses to not play an action, and then the action sequence stops, right? So I go for the 4 damage directed towards this unit right here, and my opponent reacts, plays a Soul Reflect, which is 3 MP. As you can see, my opponent has ran out of MP. He cannot, in this action sequence, afterwards, he cannot play anymore until he builds up more MP. So he's out of gas, basically. But his last play is a counter. This card cancels an action card with an MP cost of 2 or less, and then gives +1/+1 to a random friendly unit. This is a negate. Purple as a color is kind of like blue in Magic. They have access to negates. So he's able to negate my damaging effect here by paying 3, right? And I'm going to choose to not do anything as of right now. I'm gonna let that negate to happen, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to play this Gunvolt, which is a 3-mana 2/5 that has the death effect of dealing 1 damage to the unit in front. So I want to play this Steve Drop right here so that when it dies, it deals 1 damage to this guy, which is very important because I have a card here that deals 4 damage. So you get where I'm going, right? So now I'm going to play the Gunvolt here. I'm going to level up the Penguin again because I played another 3-cost unit. He goes up to level 3 and gains another shield. Shield prevents the next source of damage, by the way. So because he's been trading with this, the shield popped, but he gained another one with the level up, right? So I play the Gunvolt here, and this is what I want to do. I want to play this onto this and deal 4 damage to it, so that then I can play the Steve Burnside. But you may be asking, well, all of your slots are occupied, right? And this is what I'm talking about with all the mechanics going on. There's a lot to take in as a new player, but like I said, I'm explaining it and everything, so you can just, you can re-watch this multiple times in case you want to try out this game to understand what I mean by all this. So this 4-drop, which is called Steve Burnside, has the Ascendant mechanic. The Ascendant mechanic is a new mechanic that was introduced with this expansion, which allows me to play this on top of a creature, on top of a unit that's already on the board, and kill it. So if I play this guy in the middle, I kill my Gunvolt and I put this guy instead, and he gains the bonus from it because he's Ascended, right? So the idea, and that's where the synergy with this deck lies. I have this guy that deals 3 damage to my opponent's units whenever one of my units dies, and I have units with death effects. So I'm actually I have synergy with this. Like, I'm going to play this on top of this guy. I'm going to kill the Gunvolt, but the Gunvolt is going to trigger this Tortoise and its own death effect, which will deal 1 damage to this in front of it, right? So after I play that, I'm gonna wait for my opponent to play an action themselves so that I can react and play my Trust and Suspicion for free, because I get the 2 free mana for the action sequence. So now I'm gonna react with that, and I'm gonna target V here, and I'm gonna deal 4 damage to him, dropping him down to 1, which is exactly where I want him to be, because now I can play Steve Burnside here, and see that a lot happened there. So I play Steve Burnside. My Penguin died, by the way, because it traded with this and it died. But I play Steve here on top of the unit. It dealt 1 damage to the 01 that was in front of it, so it killed V. And then this dealt 3 damage to this. This dealt 3 damage to this because my unit died. And I also dealt 6 damage to the unit on top with the Chill Penguin's last level up before Chill Penguin died. That all happened in an instant, so you're like, what the hell? You can rewatch it. Like, you can rewind in this video and check out like how that went down exactly. But that's basically what happened there. So now that I play Steve, this fire that revolves around them means that he's Ascendant, right? And he's gonna play another action, and I'm gonna respond with Spread Shot, which deals 3 damage to my opponent's units randomly, but that was the only unit on the board. And now, as you can see, I have my Hadouken enabled. This I can drag over to anywhere here, and I can deal 7 damage to whatever instantly with no counterplay. But I can also hold on to it and keep building up my AP. My opponent is still 4 AP away from having his own ability enabled, right? So now that I've, like, that was a very crucial moment in the match, because now I've taken control. Now my opponent played a 2-3 right there, and I dropped the Lagriashes that, when played, deals 3 damage split amongst all enemy units. It's a 4 mana 2-5, so that was a 2-3, so I killed it upon entry. And now I have the superior board state. My opponent is gonna try to stay alive here by dealing 2 damage and gaining 2 life with Soul Thirst right there, which will enable him to kill the Tortoise. As I have a free slot up there. I'm gonna build up my MP here though. I want to make sure that I have enough mana to make plays. I drop the Gunvolt over there as he drops Jury right here. As you can see, what Jury does upon entry is that she permanently reduces the attack of the unit in front. So now my Steve Burnside here, who has combo, which means he hits twice when attacking, has 0 attack. So now he's pretty much useless right there, right? He's nullified him basically. So he's taking up space, but I can always replace him with another one of my combo units, my ascended units, sorry, and take over his place right here. As right now, Dante's trying to chain a bunch of actions to take control back of my board, because that's how purple plays. Purple is more about like low cost tempo action plays. So he returns this to my X pocket as I drop a Tortoise in there, and I'm keeping up the pressure, My opponent goes for a Dead Weight, which is a 1 MP halt effect, which basically freezes my unit for 5 seconds and resets its attack timer. So he's slowing me down. He's trying to get back into this game by slowing me down, dealing with my board, and just, using a bunch of control actions to get back into it, right? But I'm gonna let my board speak for itself and just keep up the pressure. I have my Hadouken lined up to react to whatever he wants to do, and I'm just letting my units, even though I'm not doing much damage, slowly but surely I am getting the damage on. I have maximum MP here, but I'm waiting for him to do something before I react myself. That's why I'm not doing anything right now. As he drops Triss, super key. I was waiting for him to drop something, because what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to I'm gonna play Ryu. I'm gonna play Ryu on top of this, because Ryu, when played, deals 3 damage to 1 random enemy unit, which means it deals 3 damage to this. This, by the way, has Resonate +1/+1, which means that whenever he plays an action, this thing is gonna get buffed. So this is gonna get big if I don't kill it now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play Ryu. I'm gonna ascend him because he has the ascended keyword. I'm gonna ascend him by playing him on top of Steve here, right? So I'm gonna play Ryu on top of Steve, and I'm gonna deal 3 damage to this. And because Steve is going to die, because Ryu is ascending on top of him, that sounds weird. The Tortoise will be triggered as well, and will deal 3 damage randomly to my opponent's unit, which means 3 + 3 = 6, which means I will be exactly able to kill this. And because I played Ryu on top of a creature, he will turn into Evil Ryu, which is basically meaner and bigger and deals more damage. You'll see that right now. See?
Adios.
And I managed to do that just before he plays Deadly Traps too. This is where timing comes into play in Teppen. If you are able to play right before your opponent, like, it's all about speed, man, and timing. And if you're able to get the upper hand in that regard over your opponent, you get a massive advantage. Because I was able to kill that before he was able to make it grow with a Deadly Trap, because I was quicker than him. And you guys see Evil Ryu right here is a 4/8 that's really pissed off and gonna just attack my opponent and deal 4 damage each time. He returns that to my X pocket, as my X pocket is full right now. And I just bring it back down. And I just let these guys continue to attack as I'm lowering himself more and more. He's in the red. As you can see, Dante's all of a sudden very serious. He doesn't like it. And he drops this guy. This Dante is a very big threat. It has a Resonate ability, which enables it to go Devil Trigger and switch into Devil Trigger Dante, which is a 4/7 with agility and flying. Big threat. So as soon as I see that, again, timing, very key. I go really fast. I was waiting for him to drop it there. Like, there it is, boom. I go for the Hadouken. I drag the Hadouken with my finger over Dante, and I knock him the fuck out. Hadouken! I kill him, and I just let my board, take the game here as my opponent is extremely low and surrenders because he's at 2 health and he can't come back from this. So this game really came down to that early sequence when he had the V engine on board, generating all those units. When we were able to actually deal with that that board state, and we just kept applying pressure, and whenever our opponent tried to come back by generating a threat, we were able to answer it, and we basically locked him down, kind of like a control deck, because that's how Ryu works out in this game, quite simply. And that's basically it. As you guys can see, this deck did really well, and that's one of many games that I had this morning with it, as I was able to climb from B rank to A rank, and the highest rank right now is Champion, which is where I tend to be. But Christmas vacations happened and all that, and I haven't been able to play in a while, so got back into it this morning, and yeah, we got some games too. If you guys want to see more of this game, by the way, you can check out my Twitch VODs, as I do stream it every now and then, and it's a game that I really enjoy. So hopefully you guys found this useful. Like, I really went into detail explaining what happened. I think that's important for like the first video, because otherwise it can be extremely confusing. And let me know in the comment section down below if I did a decent job at explaining, and hopefully you guys are interested in the game and try it out. If you do want to try out, referral link in the description down below. You'd be helping me out, and that's all I gotta say. Thank you for watching. Have a soul day. Stay tuned for an MTG video today as well, and yeah, love ya. I'll see you guys around.